Lakelands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wholeheartedly support my colleagues' initiative about life means life sentencing. And to share with my colleagues here why I support life means life, I want to tell you the victim impact statement of a lifelong friend of mine about the 2011 murder of my lifelong and besthood child friend, her sister, people who to me are friends who are family. And Paula, my friend, has not yet read her victim impact statement into sentencing, but will be doing so, and she asked me to share this with you. Dana Jane Turner has been my little sister and since October 28, 1979. I have 4 other sisters and 2 brothers. I'm the oldest of the 8 children, and Dana is my second sibling. Paula, Leah, Dana, Brendan, Jessica, Russell, Kara, and Sarah. From the moment that Dana was missing, I felt sick to my stomach. I had an all-consuming feeling Dana was cold and outside, and I had no idea where to look for her. My friends, family, and I immediately started hanging missing persons posters around Alberta, and we all prayed for her safe return. I quickly became the liaison between the RCMP and my family, relaying updates back and forth on a very regular basis. I made 2 appearances on the news, hoping that someone would know something about where Dana was and that she would be brought home. I remember the morning in October when the RCMP called me at work to let me know they wanted to meet me face to face. I knew that I was going to be served the most terrible news of my life and that I would have to share this news with my dad and family in Newfoundland. I wanted one more day to pretend that Dana was still alive, that life would go back to normal, and we would not be here today. That was not the case. To articulate the impact Dana's murder has had on my life is very overwhelming and almost impossible to put into words. I've written this statement over and over in my head for more than 4 years, but have never been able to commit it to paper, as the impacts are gut-wrenchingly painful, constant, and ever-changing. The emotional and physical impacts of losing my sister in this tragic manner has forced me to live a life I did not choose, and I've become a person at times I don't even recognize as myself. I find it impossible to say that even one part of my life has not changed since Dana's murder. Dana's death has left me often depressed, anxious, suspicious, scared, and angry. Dana's murder required me doing things that I would never wish on anyone. I, along with the help of my parents and siblings, had to go through Dana's belongings item by item, box by box, sorting through her clothes, baby memorabilia, mail, and personal belongings, all of which made me feel like I was stealing and violating her privacy. I had to decide what items to keep for her children when they got older, and sold the rest at a garage sale, almost giving it away like everything she had worked for. Her whole life was suddenly garbage. I made phone calls to and met with Dana's pastor and helped arrange her memorial. I had to print large photos of her to place on a table at the front of the church, as there wasn't a body to put in a casket, as her remains stayed with a medical examiner for evidence. About a year later, when Dana's remains were released to our family and we were able to have a funeral for my sister, I will always be haunted by the image of my father falling to the ground at her casket in a small room at the funeral home, and there wasn't anything I could do to comfort him. I wanted to hold Dana's hand and say goodbye, but when I felt in Dana's casket for her hand, I wasn't able to find it in the vacuum-sealed bag of bones that was placed under a satin sheet where an inflated pillow was where her head would have been. Dana and I had a very close relationship. Most of my early childhood memories include Dana. As teens and young adults, we enjoyed live music, singing in the car, or just evenings in doing a puzzle. I was there when Dana had her first son, Ethan, and was with Ethan making a pumpkin pie with blue whipping cream to bring to the hospital after Dana gave birth to her second son. Dana and I worked together for about 8 years, just cubicles apart. Along with spending countless lunch hours and coffee breaks together, we spent many evenings together with her children, or I would take the boys for her to give her a much-earned break. Dana was a single mother to 3 young boys, and I often referred to her as my hero. I missed Dana every single second of every single day, but I missed her the most when I was planning my wedding. I tied little ornamental angel wings around the stems of our bouquets and pretended she was with us. She was not able to stand up for me, dance with us, or toast my marriage. After Dana's murder and after finding Dana's last will and testament, I chose to fulfill her final wishes and raise her youngest 2 sons. Dana's oldest son will no longer grow up with his younger brothers. He is now living in New Brunswick with his father, stepmother, and little sister. Although I made the decision to parent the younger boys quickly, it was not one that I took lightly. I had to appear before a judge and ask for parental rights for two amazing and strong little boys. Without parental rights, I was not able to do simple things like take the boys to the doctor, enroll them in school, or counseling. I was not able to grieve the death of my sister as I had to engage in my new role. I had to do things most sisters would never have to do while grieving. I had to pack up my whole life into boxes, move across the country, take a year off work, try to manage Dana's estate, and learn to be a single parent to two all at the same time. I had to rely on my family for support at age 35 like I have never had to do before in my adult life. Dana's youngest son, only 2 at the time of her murder, and clung to me like a koala bear for the first year we were together, never letting me out of his sight. Dana's middle son, 4 at the time, was anxiously waiting for his mom, Dana, to come home and was very confused as to why I was in his life as much as I was. I love being a mother to Dana's sons, but there are many challenges with raising your murdered sister's children that most mothers don't have to face. These little boys have questions that little boys should never have to ask, like, where is my mom? Why did my mom die? And why can we take a plane to Newfoundland to see Poppy, but we can't take a plane to heaven to see our mom, Dana? Simple school projects like filling in a family tree become confusing for the boys and often leave them sad. I do my best to share with them memories of their mom, Dana, but this usually ends with me trying my best to hold back my tears. I tell them she is always with them and they can see her in the sky. I let them know, hard to see, if they ever need her in the day, that they can find her near the sun, and if they need her at night, she is watching over them with the moon. I will forever be saddened that they will never remember her touch, a lullaby she sang to them, or her infectious laugh. The boys and I have placed many angels around the house and yard to remind us of their mom, Dana. I overheard a conversation the boys had while looking at the angel lawn ornaments in Walmart, trying to decide which one is their mom, Dana. I've taken the younger boys to visit Dana's gravesite many times. This past Christmas break, I took her oldest son, Ethan, who was guided by his younger brothers directly to her tombstone. I stayed near the car, trying not to cry, and so proud of how strong they all are. My heart aches that she has missed out on so many wonderful milestones of their lives already, and so many more to follow. I'm doing my best to raise good boys that will grow up to be good men. Because of Dana's murder, I will also mourn the loss of my own identity. I was once an independent, carefree soul with a love for adventure. I had very close friends that I used to enjoy spending time with for many years. I no longer contact them as much as I used to. They all know I've changed as a person, and now that I'm a parent, I have even less in common with many of them than I did before. I often used to seek out social events and coordinate plans, activities, or vacations before Dana died, and now I struggle to even keep in touch. My friends will never see the fun and free-spirited person I used to be, as that Paula no longer exists. I don't know if that's true, Paula. I feel isolated and lonely with my grief. I have found some solace in others that have lost a sibling or a loved one to homicide. Some days I'm seeking support, and some days I'm strong enough to provide it. There are no words to explain how one feels after losing a sibling to murder. I've actively attended counseling since Dana was missing, not only for myself, but with my boys and my family. The boys will continue to have harder questions, and I will do my best to have the age-appropriate answers. I mourn the loss of my family as it once was. Although not perfect, it was ours, and we were always there for each other. For the rest of our lives, we'll have family gatherings and holiday celebrations that were once joyous and are now overshadowed by sadness that Dana is not there. We were a giant puzzle, and now a piece is missing. I will never see my mom smile like she did when all of her children were together with her. I can't remember the last time I heard her laugh. I've seen my dad cry more than a daughter ever should have to see her dad cry. My family is not the same without our Dana Jane. My heart breaks to know that if anyone, especially Dana's children, Google her name, they will not find anything about who she really was. The internet is filled with stories about a very small window of Dana's life and how it was violently ended. Today and always for the rest of my life, I will mourn the loss of my sister, Dana Jane. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, a co-worker, and a friend who saw the good in people and was often able to see past the bad. She loved everyone, even those that did not deserve her love, and everyone loved Dana. I have not calculated the financial impacts of Dana's murder. There have been so many expenses, and although they're plentiful, I'm glad to be the person that Dana trusted enough with her children. The last 4.5 years have been hell for my whole family. We have all been served a terrible life sentence of grief and loss. I'm looking forward to my family not saving vacation days and money to spend here in Red Deer in the same room as my sister's killer, but instead trying to find our new normal. That's during the trial. So thank you to my colleague for putting forward an initiative to ensure that life means life.
Thank you for sharing.
Resuming debate, the honourable member for Egmont will have a